Welcome back to Leadership Blueprints, everybody. I'm your host, BJ Kraemer, and today, in honor of Women in Construction Week, the first week of March, I am excited to welcome construction Barb Allen to the show. Barb, how are you today?
Oh, great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking the time. I'm excited to dive in. We start every show kind of the getting to know Barb Allen's career path. Today, you are a nationally renowned speaker in the construction industry, but let's go back and understand what led you to the construction industry and what your career path was like in the construction industry.
Yeah, my getting into the industry is crazy, and I think it's a similar path for many women that we don't find it until later in our career exploration. And for me, I grew up, my dad was a 10 knocker. He owned an HVAC company, and I walked jobs with him after church on Sundays and never thought about getting into construction. And then my best girlfriends got jobs at a hardware store and lumber yard when we were 16. So I'm like, I want to work with my friends. So I worked there all through high school and college and never thought about a career in construction. And it was my junior year of college when I was about ready to quit school because I felt like I was wasting my money, didn't know what I wanted to do, and stumbled upon the construction management degree. And as soon as I read it, I was like, this is what I was meant to do. Like I had no idea this degree even existed. And as soon as I read it, I knew in my core that is what I wanted to do. I reached out to the dean of that college and set up an appointment and was started the next semester. And I knew I wanted to be a job site superintendent from the time that I started. And so that is the path that I went into. I was the first female that J Dunn Construction hired out of college to train to become a job site superintendent. And because they're signatory with the Carpenters Union, I was placed into the Carpenters Apprenticeship Program. So I wore my bags and worked in the field and set cabinets and countertops and all the good things. Concrete formwork was my jam. I love concrete formwork. Um, and then I just started to move up in the industry. So 6 years out of college, I was running my first job as a construction superintendent. I spent 20 years in the field, and then I moved into office positions. So I was an owner's rep for a few years and then operations director at a general contractor. And then about 2.5 years ago, said, it's time for me to stop building buildings and see what I can do to increase the success of women in this industry. I was tired of being the only one and tired of having some of the same conversations and wanted to get more women in.
Um, I love the path. Talk to us about what you've been doing for the last 2 years.
Yeah, so I have I started out with this idea when I quit my job as operations director. I all I really knew that I wanted to do was make a difference, and I wasn't sure the best way to do that. And I started out thinking, oh, I'm going to speak and I'm going to do consulting and I'm going to do coaching. And what it's boiled down to is I love speaking and the way that I'm able to impact audiences with my message of coming from the field, looking like I do, knowing that this person in front of them was a job site superintendent for most of her career. It's a really great way to get people to hear what those gender specific challenges are. And so that's what I do mostly is travel around the country speaking on stages, helping audiences better understand the gender specific challenges that women face and how can we work together as an industry to lessen or hopefully eliminate these challenges.
Uh, before I get into those challenges, I wanted to ask, you said you read the construction management degree. Two questions. What school
Yeah.
was it, and what was it in the description of that degree or that curriculum that you were like, this is me?
So it was the University of Central Missouri, and I wish I knew the answer to the second question. Like, I wish I had torn that page out of the book because, yes, I'm old enough that it was a physical book, like almost a phone book. I wish I had torn that page out, but all I really remember looking back was that there was a concrete structures class and a steel structures class and a wood frame structures class. And I'm like, what are all of these? I remember there was a materials testing listed, but that's all I really remember about the whole page. I just remember feeling like, yeah, let me
This is
learn
this
all
is
of these
me.
things. It was so cool. I didn't realize my whole life had been leading up to it. It just set that stage, but no one told me there was an opportunity like that. And I was raised to think that I was going to college, and that's not for everyone, right? But
Yep.
I always viewed construction as a job, and I was told I was looking for a career. And those were very different, and
Hmm.
they didn't seem to coincide construction as a career for me. And that's so wrong. And I want people to see that it's it's absolutely a career.
So I want to jump into this. I think we very different but similar backgrounds. And let me start with one of the hopes that we have of the podcast is the construction industry workload is growing, but our labor force is shrinking. We're losing people to I guess maybe some sexier tech or marketing type industries. So one, we're kind of simpatico in trying to bring a more diverse workforce. I focus a lot on veterans. You're focused on women, but as a brother of two sisters, a father of two daughters, I want to understand how do we do a better job showing these career paths and these opportunities and making it more attractive. And maybe third, I identify with. I always thought the construction industry growing up, it was the guys, and I use that just stereotypically, the guys swinging hammers, and then there's some white collar people in offices designing things, and I didn't have any appreciation for the huge talent labor force infrastructure that goes into logistics and design and engineering and quality control and office management and budget and QA/QC and safety and there's so many different career paths in our industry, but they all get to come together. And as an athlete, I love the idea of a team. And you and I were talking a little banter about the Super Bowl before we got on, but I love
Yep.
the idea that this team can come together. And yeah, they're disparate and they're subcontractors and contractors, but we all come together to see something happen. And I think the more we can get that out to the world, that there's all of these opportunities and the better off our industry is and the better off the country really is because construction and engineering and public infrastructure is literally the backbone of our country and our economy. So we're very simpatico. Let's get into what is stopping us or what are I can go back to the stereotype of guys swinging hammers, but you experienced it firsthand. You're out there interacting with our industry every day, every week. What are where are the areas we need to improve as an industry to one be more attractive, maybe starting with more accepting to women in construction, more attractive to women in construction, and what do women need to know that maybe think that's not a career path for me? So let's
Yeah.
dive in.
So, in general, I think our labor shortage really has a lot to do with our reputation. Our industry as a whole doesn't have the best reputation. I mean, think about the stigma that Hollywood gives our industry, the way construction workers are portrayed in TV shows and on in movies and stuff. And then I think that a lot of that was true when I got into the industry. Sure, some of it is still out there, that yelling, screaming, gruffness, disrespect to people, but I think that it's so much better than it was. Um, but I think for women, they just don't see themselves in it. They don't see themselves they don't see someone else that looks like them doing the job. We are not promoting that in a way that helps women understand that someone who looks like them being a woman who goes to yoga or Pilates or wine nights with her girlfriends all dolled up, those are the same women that also work in construction. I think that there's a disconnect there. And I truly believe that women attract women. It lowers that bar as well. Like I'll give a completely random example. So I'm a motorcycle rider. I love to ride motorcycles, but when I was married, my ex-husband bought me a dirt bike. He was a big dirt bike rider, and I get on the dirt bike and I'm like, I don't know that I can do this. He's jumping hills, he's going down big hills like stuff, and I'm like, he totally believed in me. You can do this. You can do this. But until we went on a trip with another couple and I watched that woman doing it, I was like, oh, if she can do it, I can do it. There's just something about seeing another woman who looks like you, is your size, is similar to you, that you're like, oh, wait, she not only can do it, but she loves it. What is she doing about it? It starts to attract other women. And we're not doing a great job of that right now. I think anyone listening, if you were to pull up your company website right now for your general contractor, your subcontractor, whatever company it is, just take a quick look and think, would your daughter, your wife, your sister look at that website and think, "Ooh, I'm welcome here. Oh, there's positions for me here. Oh, what does that woman do?" Or does it look like, "Oh, this is a place where men work."
Hmm. I'm taking some notes here. Um, so the the juxtaposition you created in my head of ladies' night, wine night, or yoga Pilates versus dirty boots, hard hat, belt. Uh, I I I don't have to look up anybody's website to know that those are two very different pictures. And the work environment, that may be the reality of, steel toe boots are a requirement. And it how do we make it look more attractive? I love what you're talking about with positive peer pressure, and it's obvious you putting your face, your career path out there on stage starts to normalize it. But you're one. How do we do that as individual companies? I'm an owner's rep, consulting firm. I certainly want to be more attractive. And as a father of two girls, and I know that there's a lot of women that can help us take over the world. they they getting into stereotypes. They follow through usually better than men, and they're more organized usually more than men. So those two traits alone um, make maybe that's a reverse stereotype. Make me want more women than men in the owner's rep business.
Yeah,
So what can we do?
I think that I think it's important that companies are spotlighting as much as possible the women that work in their companies and in ways that help people understand what it is they do. Because we have amazing women that are tradeswomen. We have amazing women that are in accounting. We have amazing construction lawyers in this industry. But if you look at when we spotlight women, and you'll see this throughout WIC Week, right? You're going to see all over LinkedIn and social media, you are going to see companies spotlighting the women that are out there. And I think what can be really cool is if we help them, we help the people, we help, I'm not struggling here for a second. Deep breath. If we can help those looking at those posts see themselves in those women, where it's, hey, this is a picture of Becky at work as a tradeswoman. Here's a picture of Becky at home with her dog, right?
Mm,
Like, oh, wait a second. that looks like me. And she does this. And then explaining like what she does and her having this opportunity to say, I love this job. I make great money. I have an opportunity to lead people. There's such a stigma about the challenges that women face in the industry. And yes, we face challenges, but man, when we are overcoming these, a rewarding, it is such a rewarding career. And we need not only companies to highlight women, but we need women to be sharing their stories.
I I want to encourage any woman that's out there that is in the industry, and I've got a specific West Point grad in mind that I just met with last week. Uh, Not naming names, but Shannon. I agree. Um, we have to get those stories out there um, to normalize and to make it attractive and to help people understand. And we were talking before the show, so I want to go there now. A couple of years ago, speaking of Super Bowl,
Oh, here we go on this again. We have not
that,
mentioned that I am a Chiefs fan, so now the
oh
audience
yeah,
knows that juxtaposition.
before the show, we got into a little Eagles Chiefs banter. The current reigning Super Bowl champion Eagles.
Oh,
I wanted to highlight there was a Super Bowl commercial on this company Goldie Blocks, and it was started by Debbie Sterling, and she did a TED talk, and then she won this $1 million commercial or whatever the commercials in the Super Bowl were going for, and I loved it. It was a cool like group of 5 or 6 young girls putting together all kinds of like obstacles and engineering contraptions in their house to the background music of Beastie Boys Girls, but the lyrics were changed, and it was. I'll put it in the show notes for everybody listening, and Barb, I'll send it to you. But it it hit me at that time like, oh, you can't just get people when they're going into college or when they're going into their career path. We have to normalize this. You know, I don't think there's a cartoon out there called Barb the Builder. There's Bob the Builder because and the lyrics are in my head, and so I think we have to destigmatize, and maybe the opposite of destigmatize is just advertise and make attractive and normalize that this is a career path for men and women. And I think a lot of the residential flipping shows have done this, but I think they tend to look more like the design side and the interior side of the industry, but showing the field side and the construction management and the superintendent side, I think is that next step. You touched on women in construction, and National Association of Women in Construction, I imagine, is the proponent or the sponsor of WIC Week. Talk to us about all of the great things that Women in Construction or NAWIC does.
yeah, absolutely. Before I do that, though, I'd love to step back for a minute and say I do know of at least 2 women who have books out there. They're not construction Barb, right? But they are about their stories. One is Judeline Cassidy, and one is Paige the Plumber. And those ladies have amazing books for kids out there, for girls to see what construction is like as a from a child's book, a children's book standpoint. So,
Paige the plumber. What was the first one you said?
Judeline Cassidy.
Judeline Cassidy. We will grab those in the show notes as well. Great.
Awesome. So yeah, NAWIC has a lot of opportunities for kids, and there's 2 in particular that I'd love to mention, and one is very dear to my heart and how it changed for my niece. So there's a competition we call Block Kids, and we invite all genders K through 6 to come to this block building competition. And in Kansas City, we have it set up at the Builders Training Center. And we have tradespeople come in. for an hour or so before the building blocks competition. And the kids actually get to lay bricks and put the mortar in and paint and ride in a scissor lift. The iron workers show up with these VR glasses so they can feel like they're walking on a steel beam, right? They finish sand that represents finishing concrete. A big concrete truck is there. They can get in and get in and see how big that feels. But it's a really great opportunity for all kids to get exposed to the trades, right? And when my youngest niece was old enough to go, I brought her and she loved the bricklaying part of it. And she was, I want to say 5 at the time. I may have snuck her in earlier than she was age appropriate, but she the next week she was with my mom and my mom said, "Did you have fun? How was the program?" And she says, "When I grow up, I want to be in construction." And at 5 years old, to hear a little girl say that was just so heartwarming. And I honestly believe she's continued to win the competition. She's amazing. Like she won again this year in our chapter. She has this engineer mindset, but it's exposing kids early. The other thing that we have in Kansas City and many chapters across the United States is what we call Camp Nawick. And Camp Nawick is a high school day camp, week long, for girls that are in high school. And every day they show up and they interact with at least one, if not two, different trades. And they actually have hands on. They get a chance to use the tools, learn to weld, learn to use screw guns, build things, and walk away at the end of the week realizing, wow, I can do this. I don't have to rely on my brother or my dad. I can grab the screw gun and be part of what we're building as a family or wherever they are. And during that time, we're also introducing them to other careers in the industry, right? Whether it's accounting or HR or project management or whatever it is. It's a really great opportunity. And we have so many girls that come back year after year as they're going through high school. And we've seen some move on from high school into construction management programs or directly into the trades. It's been exciting.
That's awesome. Uh, I want to jump to your subscription box. Um, Leadership Blueprints. We're all about learning about leadership. You have led in the field, you're leading on stage, and now you're leading this concept of a curated box for women in construction.
Yeah.
Tell us about the idea, where did it come from, what's in the box, what is this?
Yeah, so I am a huge podcast listener and I also love dogs. And so every day I am out walking and listening to podcasts. And I was listening to this random podcast about subscription boxes. And all of a sudden I was like, wait a second. There is not such a thing for women in construction. And when you think about for women in construction, it is rare that anything is made with us in mind first. Things are usually retrofitted to work for women. And a lot of times it's shrink it and pink it. It's not actually made for us first. And I thought, man, how cool could this be if women could come home from a long day at work and open up this box that feels like, oh my gosh, this was made for me. They get me. Because as a woman in construction, I don't, outside of the women that I know in the industry, my regular friends, they're not in construction. They don't get what I do. And it's kind of hard to have those conversations sometimes. It's hard to feel like anybody really gets you and what you do. And to be able to open a box and be like, oh my gosh, someone actually gets me. I do belong here. That's the whole concept behind it. That's the goal. And each box has 4 main components. One is construction related, empowerment, femininity, and growth. And they're quarterly. But the main thing on the construction item is that we always get things that are handed to us in the guy's fit, the guy's size, the guy's style. This box, what comes in it, is in our fit, our size, our style. And so as soon as women subscribe to the box, they're asked, what is your shirt size? And do you prefer standard fit or female fit? Because not all women even want the same on that. They're asked their glove size, their sock size, so that as these items are procured, we know we're sending them what actually fits them. And what I'm hoping happens with this box is not only that they feel like they belong and that someone sees them, but the first box, it was safety glasses that were the construction item. And granted, safety glasses are so inexpensive, right? But the first time I put these safety glasses on and they fit my face, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 30 years into this industry, and this is the first pair of safety glasses that feel like they fit. And the goal is that they take those back to their company and they're like, these are the ones that we should be buying for the smaller faces in our company, right? Same thing with the gloves or whatever the item is that's given out there, because the companies, they don't even know. Most of the people who are buying those things, they haven't actually needed them themselves. They don't know
Right.
what they feel like. So these are women that can say, oh my gosh, this does fit. Let's go buy these for the women or the smaller people in our company, depending on what the item is. So
Where
that's it.
can where can people subscribe to the box?
Yeah, if they go to constructionbarb.com, there is a link. There is a tab for the 14 percenters. The box is called the 14 percenters because women make up less than 14% of the industry. Um, so they can find it there. I will say, I was speaking at a conference in Des Moines, Iowa recently and found out that Des Moines has, or not Des Moines, Iowa has the lowest percentage of women in construction at 8%.
Hmm.
And I knew Maryland. Maryland is the one that has 14%, and that's the highest in the nation at this time. And keep in mind that 14%, that's all aspects of construction. When you talk about women in the
So that's
trades,
marketing,
that's
that's
absolutely,
construction company employment.
absolutely. And tradespeople, women are 4%, right around 4%.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. Probably not shocking to me, but that is a crazy number.
And it hasn't moved much since I got in, well, I won't say what decade that was, but it hasn't moved enough. That's why I do what I do now. We've got to change this, and we've got to change the mindset about let's get more women to meet a percentage or a quota, but understanding exactly what you said earlier, that women are really good at follow through. They're more organized. And to add to that, typically women are more detailed and they're relationship driven, right? Men tend to be task driven, women are relationship driven. Those relationships are kind of what help keep more people retain the talent that you have. So focusing on why women and not just a percentage.
Yeah, I I appreciate that. All right, we're gonna move into some rapid fire questions.
Okay, we'll see how I do.
Favorite book or most gifted book?
Talking from 9 to 5 by Deborah Tannen. It highlights the differences between male and female conversational styles.
Ah, all right, give me a takeaway from that.
Um, Actually, I'm going to tell you a story real quick.
I would love
Um,
that.
so I was about 2 months on the job and like right out of college, right? I am in the field. I am a carpenter apprentice, and I watch one day not mine, our labor foreman and our carpenter foreman get into this yelling, screaming, finger pointing, nose to nose, cussing, yelling match at each other,
I can't picture it.
right? You've never seen it. I'm watching this happen, and then 15 minutes later, it was like it never happened. Everybody was back to work. They were friends. And as a woman, I'm looking at this thinking, what just happened? This is the twilight zone. This is not how women communicate. If two women were to have a conversation like that, we would not speak to each other again. And we would not want our friends to talk to her friends again. That's just the reality of the way it was, at least back then. And so that night after work is when I went to Barnes and Noble immediately after work. And I'm like, I have to learn how to talk like men, not the yelling and screaming, but how to not take it personal. And that was the big takeaway, is that it's business. It's not personal. Now, granted, the name calling was, and that needs to go away, but it's just what I learned is that when men are upset, they tend to just say, "Hey, I'm upset and this is why." And then there's a conversation about it and it's better. It just kind of goes away. Women tend to talk to everyone else except the person that they're upset with and avoid that direct conversation, which just perpetuates the feelings. And it was hard for me to learn not to take it personal, but the book makes it very clear. It's just business. You've got to let people know when there's a problem and then you can solve it.
Yeah. It I just had a recent podcast and I think the one place that I would help meet in the middle there is coaching versus criticizing. I think men are very quick to criticize, and I think everybody is better off when people talk about constructive criticism, but even constructive criticism sounds tough. But coaching to me sounds a lot better, and I just recently heard that, so I wanted to point that out. Um, and I also think I'm stepping into dangerous ground here. But I find that I can't agree more, and maybe it's stereotypical, and I'm going to step on eggshells. It's not as easy as just saying, "Hey, it's just business. Don't worry about it."
You're right.
Um, I, I, but I want to hear from you because you know validating feelings. Like I can understand how somebody could feel that way for what I just said to you or feedback, but it's like this is I always called it a teachable moment or a coachable moment. Like this is not me criticizing you. This is me coaching you. And I don't want to be, I've had plenty of male employees that have felt equally, bad about a hard conversation. How does one who receives information just get over it or just realize it's just business?
Yeah, I think that
And I want to say that because I focus a lot on leader delivery, but
yeah,
it's also the leader can get better at delivery, but a lot of it is also we all interact with the world and how we receive is equally important to how we deliver.
yeah. And I will tell you my my experience, and it really is true to this day. There's like I love constructive feedback. Like I know that's what makes me grow. And I think people have to you have to start thinking about how do you want to grow? How fast do you want to grow? And what does that take? It takes honest constructive feedback.
Mm,
But for me, uh, you give me constructive feedback that's hard to hear. My feelings are hurt. I am gonna go away. It's not like I don't think immediately, okay, that's just business. Let's move on. I don't think that. That's not how my brain works. I have to go back and think about it. And it might be 2 hours, it might be 2 days, it might be 2 weeks. And then I can sit with it and think, okay, wait a second. That advice would actually help me in this situation. And this is actually good for me. I am learning from this. It takes a while for it to settle back into this is just business and it's going to make me better because initially it does feel like a personal attack and so many times we disagree with it on the initial, right? Like when it's first given to us like no, that's not true. That's not why I did it. That's not how blah, blah, blah. Stop trying to defend and just sit with it however long it takes you, just sit with it and then come back.
yeah. All right. I like it. And I will reinforce to leaders out there. I always say if everything I have done to date tells this person I love them, then my constructive feedback or my criticism that may come out the wrong way or my coaching should be received well. But it's not always.
Yeah.
And I can't start every conversation saying, you know how much I love you, but we got to talk about this.
Yes.
All right. Any favorite quotes?
Um, I'm gonna pass.
Okay.
I can't think of it on the
It's
top of my
okay.
head.
If you could have dinner with three people, dead or alive, who would they
Okay.
be?
My grandpa, Pink, and I'm gonna say Ellen DeGeneres.
Pink, Philly
Yep.
native, and my daughter. So she's an Eagles fan. Just one more before we go.
Okay.
But my little daughter, my littlest Emerson, sings um, "Cover Me in Sunshine," and
Ah,
that's her voice singing that song is like it can change my day. So I'm also a Pink fan.
I love
All
her.
right, your grandpa Pink and Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
Do we have a favorite quote or no?
I have a favorite quote. I just don't know what it is right now. As soon
All
as we
right,
hang up, I'll be like,
you're gonna say
oh, that's what I wish I would have said.
everybody needs to check the show notes because as soon as Barb remembers, we're gonna put it in the show notes anyway.
I'll send it.
Um, all right, what do you want your legacy to be? Professionally, personally, what do you want on your tombstone? However you categorize it, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want it to be that she helped me. Like she helped me, she helped us, whatever. I just want as many people in this world as possible to succeed and have the life that they truly love and are respected for.
I I love that. The floor is yours. Maybe it's tied to that. Maybe it's tied to something else. Anything we didn't cover, anything you want to say, any closing inspiration to men, women throughout our industry, the floor is yours.
I love this industry. I think it's such an amazing industry. We have amazing people in it. And although we have challenges, each one of us has challenges in this industry. And honestly, we love the challenges, which is part of why we're in this industry. We just, the more we can work together to make a more inclusive environment for everyone in it, the more successful this industry will be. We will get more people in, we will get them to stay. That's what ultimately I think we need.
Awesome. Construction Barb, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you
Um,
for everything you're doing for our industry. Everybody listening, it is Women in Construction Week when this is released, first week of March. Look up NAWIC, take a look around our industry, take a look around your geographic area to get involved in NAWIC. And let's all collectively try to make the industry a little more attractive for the women workforce. If you get value out of this, if you know a woman in construction that might want to hear this or connect with Barb, we will put all Barb's links in the show notes as well. Barb, where can people reach you?
constructionbarb.com.
Awesome. Barb, thank you so much. It was great getting to know you, and we greatly appreciate everything you're doing and for taking the time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.